Hello, welcome back. My name is London Holman, and I'll be covering POP3S and SMTPS in this presentation. I'm also going to be covering configuring and hardening recommendations for POP3S and SMPT protocols. Here's an introduction of the topics and an overview of why it is important to have secure email protocols. There is a huge importance when it comes to using secure email protocols. It protects confidentiality, integrity, and compliance, and when those aren't, those are going to be at stake. Having a secure email protocol will prevent severe threats such as phishing and man-in-the-middle attacks while maintaining a level of trust between the host and their clients. Here's a brief overview of POP3S and SMPT. POP3S is secure retrieval of emails. POP3 uses transmission protocols on port 995 and is encrypted using the transport layer, security, or secure socket layer. SMTPS, a secure transmission of emails. It is a simple manual transfer protocol and is the standard that is used for electronic mail transmission across networks and helps transfer mail from server to server. Post Office Protocol version 3 is a client-server protocol where the email is received and held on by email servers and can be periodically downloaded by the client from the server but is immediately deleted from the server after the client downloads the email. Post Office Protocol version 3 is used over SSL and TLS. The purpose of POP3S is so that you can have secure transmission of emails through a store and forward service. POP3S secures the retrieval of emails and uses port 995. Here is the installation steps for POP3S with devcot on Linux. So you would use the sudo command and edit and configure your files using nano, and then you would add in your SSL certification and key, and then restart devcot. When hardening POP3S using devcot, here are some of my configuration recommendations. So you would enforce strong SSL/TLS protocols and disable weak protocols, and configure devcot to disable older versions such as SSL version 2 and version 3 as they are outdated and insecure. And there's an example of the command. And you would restrict access. Another recommendation, you can restrict access by using IP whitelisting, which allows for only trusted IP addresses only, and firewall rules, which use firewall rules to limit access to POP3S port 995. And the last recommendation I have is to use strong ciphers. By using only strong ciphers, it ensures secure communication. SMTPS, so the definition of this, so it is the simple mail transfer protocol over SSL and TLS and uses forms of addressing in order to allow for mail to operate and go from the sender to the receiver. The purpose of SMTPS is mainly used to secure transmission of emails between servers, and it uses port 465. Configuring SMTPS with LLS on Windows. So here are the steps to this. So you would install LLS on the server, you would open it and configure, and then enable SSL certificate and ensure that it is running. Hardening SMTPS using LLS. So these are some recommendations that I have. So you would enforce TLS. So you configure LLS to enforce the use of TLS 1.2 or higher and disable older, less secure protocols such as SSL 2.0, 3.0, and TLS 1.0. SSL protocols and older versions of TLS have known vulnerabilities that can be exploited by attackers to interact or tamper with data. Many regulatory standards, such as PCI DSS, require the use of strong encryption protocols to protect sensitive information. Another recommendation would be to use strong encryption and disable weak ciphers and protocols, configure LLS to use strong cipher suits, and disable weak ones. This can be done by editing the SSL cipher suit order in the group policy actually just by group policy, and strong encryption will ensure that data being transmitted between clients and the server is protected from eavesdropping and man-in-the-middle attacks. Regular security patches are also recommended. This ensures that LLS and the underlying Windows Server OS are regularly updated with the latest security patches and to enable updates where possible. Regular updates and patches will address known vulnerabilities, which reduce the risk of exploitation by attackers. Configuring SMTPS with postfix on Linux. So you would install postfix using sudo apt-get install postfix. Then you would use your nano tool and add the following lines to the file by enabling SMTPS. And then you would specify the SSL certificate and key, and then you restart your postfix. Hardening SMTPS on postfix. So here are 3 recommendations I have. So you would use strong TLS configurations by enforcing minimum TLS versions and configure postfix to use strong TLS protocols and disable weak ones, and ensure that TLS 1.2 or higher is enforced. Older TLS versions and TSSL protocols tend to have vulnerabilities that can be exploited by attackers. By enforcing strong TLS configurations, this ensures secure communication. You can also use strong encryption and certificates to help harden your SMTPS by restricting access to only trusted networks, using strong encryption algorithms, and ensure that valid, trusted SSL and TLS certificates are installed and configured correctly. Strong encryption prevents data interruption and tampering, which ensures the integrity and confidentiality of email communications. Lastly, you can log monitoring and access control list. So regularly review logs for suspicious activities and have detailed logging that will help with identifying and responding to potential security incidents. Restrict access to SMTP services to trusted networks and implement detailed logging and monitoring to detect suspicious activities. And you would test configurations by using mmap to ensure that POP3S is listening to port 995 and ensure SMTPS is listening on port 465. And an example would use nmap-995 or port 995 and port 465 and then the server's IP address that you are nmapping. And my final conclusion is, in summary, it is very important to have a secure email protocol that allows for safe and protected transportation of emails from server to server. Use basic configurations and hardening steps to ensure the transportation of mail without tampering and ensure that everything is regularly up to date and being monitored. Perfect.